Am I wrong for telling a friend the real reason why a coworker wants to date him? I, 24 female, have a friend from work, 26 male, Ben. Over the years, coworkers told me that Ben was interested in me, but I brushed it off. When I met Ben, I had a boyfriend who is now my husband. Ben met him and was even invited to our wedding, so the thought of him liking me was ridiculous. I ended up confronting him about it, and he said that he did like me at first, but stopped once he realized I was taken. My husband knows this and is totally fine with it. I never saw Ben as anything more than a friend. 2 months ago, I caught a coworker, Kat, 23 female, crying in the parking lot after work. I asked what was wrong, and she told me that her boyfriend broke up with her and left the country after they found out she was pregnant, and she insisted on keeping the baby. Kate is white with blue eyes and blonde hair, and so is her ex. Most people in my country are tan and have brown eyes with black hair. This info was important later on. After the breakup, Kate went out on dates every day. The guys had one thing in common: blue eyes, blonde hair. I joked that she must have a type, but she told me that she was looking for someone to father her baby, so they had to look similar to her ex so the baby could pass as theirs. This horrified me, but it wasn't my place to tell her anything. A month ago, Ben and I had lunch where he told me he started dating Kat. Ben is the only guy in our office with blonde hair and blue eyes. I told him dating Kat might not be the best idea. After lunch, I went up to Kate and told her what she was doing is wrong and asked her not to do this to my friend. She laughed it off and said it's okay, he won't find out. I stayed quiet for a while, but eventually told Ben he should seriously stop dating Kate. He said he figured I'll try to break them up because I'm jealous. Man, I was disgusted before finally saying to not come crying to me when he realizes Kate is only dating him so another man's baby could have a father. I stopped talking to Ben shortly after, and everything was relatively peaceful in the office. That was until Kate announced she's pregnant. I could see the color drain from Ben's face as he looked in my direction. A huge fight broke out between the two of them after Ben demanded a paternity test while Kate tried to convince him it wasn't necessary. Kate called me later screaming that I ruined her life, so my guess is they broke up. The thing is, they really do deserve each other, so I'm starting to wonder whether I made the right decision by telling Ben the truth. If I hadn't, they probably would have gotten married and the baby would have had a loving father to look after him. Me personally, I would want to know. So I'd be thankful for someone like you if people knew and didn't tell me. If you're my friend, you would tell me so.
My wife and I hired a babysitter, Adeline, 18, for our kids 8 months, 2, 4, 5, and 7 a few months ago. Adeline is great with the kids and she's the only babysitter that can handle so many young kids. However, a couple problems are that she's consistently late. It's usually no more than 5 minutes, but she has been 10 and even 15 minutes late. Another thing is, after she gets everyone in bed, she spends the rest of the night on her phone or laptop. She never cleans up in the playroom because she claims it's always messy and she doesn't know where anything goes and will only clean up what she did with the kids. For example, Adeline did an art project with my 3 older kids and cleaned the counters and the floor after the art project, but she didn't pick up the toys that were in the living room or do the dishes. Another problem is that her outfits can be a little inappropriate for the kids so young. Crop tops, shorts, skirts, dresses that are a little too short or low cut. I've asked my wife to talk to her about it. I felt that I would be more comfortable coming from another woman, but she refused, even though she admitted that she would like Adeline to wear slightly less revealing clothes. My parents are in town and they wanted to take the kids on a walk. While on the walk, they saw Adeline running in a sports bra and shorts that barely covered anything. All of my kids had seen it and we heard about how they had seen Adeline without a shirt for days. My 5-year-old has also been talking about how pretty she is and that he's going to marry her when he's older, which is completely inappropriate. I decided to fire her because of the reasons listed above. When I told my wife, she started screaming at me because she thinks that Adeline is a great babysitter and she's reasonably priced. I told her that Adeline is a bad influence and I don't want her around my kids, but she's refusing to speak to me until I call her back and offer her job back. She even wants me to offer her a raise if she says no. Am I the asshole for firing the babysitter for being a bad influence?
You know that meme or that joke people make where they say, oh, I'm not actually funny, I'm just really mean, and people think that I'm joking? Well, I have the opposite of that problem where sometimes I think I'm making a joke and people take it seriously and I realize how mean they think that I am. Like one time my roommate was moving out, right? And she asked me for a singular piece of tape and I said, you can take the whole roll of packing tape. And she said, no, I just need one piece, I'm gonna go get my own. And the next day she did. She got her own packing tape and she walked into the house and she held it up in the air like she was a character from a video game and she said, look what I got. She was very proud and I said, oh, thank you. Since you got tape now, could you please tear off a piece and put it on my door to replace the piece that I gave you yesterday? And she knew that I was joking because that's absurd. But the other roommate in the room was like, good Lord, Kate is wound way too tight. Which, to be fair to her, I am, and I'm not proud of that. The other day I was at the movies, and there was this girl sitting next to me crinkling her wrapper, and I was like, be cool, be cool, be cool. But I was already in a state of pre-anger at her because she and her boyfriend came and stole the seats next to me that weren't theirs. They were COVID seats, and I was very excited. You know, the ones that are like sectioned off so that you don't have to sit next to strangers. And I love that because I don't like sitting next to farting, chewing, whispering strangers. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. We're all farting, whispering, chewing strangers to somebody on earth. but they came and took these seats, and then they weren't even laughing. And I was like, listen, if you're gonna come to a comedy movie and steal seats that aren't even yours, then at least come with an eager laugh and don't sit there pretending like you're too good for dick jokes, okay? Grow up. And then she was crinkling her wrapper, and I was like, be cool, be cool, be cool. And she just kept doing it, and I was like, what is she doing over there, origami? So I just stared at her, and I stared at the wrapper in her hands until she stopped making noise. And my sister's also petrified of me, apparently. We were out walking my dog. We were in a building, actually. And I ran out of the building to grab something from my car. And she was holding my dog's leash. And my dog got stressed that I was gone, so he just started to pee. And when I walked back into the building, she was hunched over my dog with both her hands clasped over his penis. And she said, this isn't what it looks like. And I said, did you try to catch his pee in your hands? She said, oh, I guess it's exactly what it looks like. I just didn't want you to get mad that I let him pee. And I was like, well, it's not your fault. Then the next morning, I was taking her to the airport, and I pulled into a McDonald's drive-thru, and she said, oh, are we getting breakfast? And I said, no, I'm getting breakfast for myself. I'm not getting any for you. And she got really sad. And I was just like, why would you think I was serious? I would never go through a drive-thru and not also get you food. I once stumped a guy because he took me through a Taco Bell drive-thru and did not ask me if I wanted anything. I mean, that wasn't the only reason we broke up. There were other reasons. Like, I'd never seen him without a beard, and then he shaved it, and I was like...
Story time. Would you call this cheating? So a little background information. I was 16 and a sophomore in high school, and I was dating this guy who we're going to call Tom, right? When we started dating, everything was super good. But a little bit into our relationship, I started to get the ick. Anything and everything he would do would literally irritate the hell out of me. So at that point, I told him that we should take a break. So we did. Well, while we were on this little break, I decided to go out with my cousin the one night. And she had brought this guy who she was talking to at the time. We're going to call him Jake. Jake and I had the same classes in school, but we never really talked to each other. Well, I started to get to know him throughout the night, and I realized we had a lot in common. I felt like he was flirting with me, so I decided to flirt with him. When we got home, I had told her how much I really liked Jake. We ended up FaceTiming and falling asleep on the phone together. We all hung out again the next day, and I invited him back to my house. Like for part 2. Would you consider this cheating? Part 2. So like I said, we all decided to hang out again the next day. It was really cold out, so I invited everybody back to my house. And when we got back to my house, we were watching horror films. And I was cuddling next to Jake on the couch. And listen, I wanted to kiss him really bad, but Tom and I had just gotten done with our so-called break. So I decided to be loyal and not do that. Well, a few days after Jake and I talking, I realized that I wanted to be with him and not Tom. So I decided to end things with Tom, and now Jake and I have been together for 1 year and 2 months, and we couldn't be happier. But every time that we bring up Tom, Jake always tells me that I cheated on him. Would you consider what I did cheating?
Am I the asshole for saying that I wouldn't be playing mom with my ex's affair baby? My ex and I divorced 4 years ago because he cheated. He had an affair baby, Juniper, 3 female, with the other woman, but Juniper's mom passed away when she was 1. She doesn't have anyone else because her mom grew up in the system. He and I have 4 kids, Joshua 20 male, Cassidy 16 female, Nate 11 male, and Jacob 8 male. When we divorced, Joshua and Cassidy cut him off, and they don't visit anymore and never met Juniper. He always blamed me for keeping his children away. Nate and Jacob still visit him and are close with the baby. I tried once to take the 3 of them out when she was younger, but it wasn't for me. And I know that she is blameless. Am I the asshole for saying that I wouldn't be playing mom with my ex's affair baby? I try not to engage so much. If she says hi, I say hi. If she waves, I do, but nothing more. Now every time I pick them up, she starts to mumble mama, mama. Last time she actually ran at me, calling me mama, and cried when I didn't pick her up and took her with me. I think she's just mimicking what she sees my kids do. Yesterday, my son spent Easter with my ex's family, and Juniper ran at me again. My ex told me that seeing me be affectionate with the boys is confusing and hurting Juniper. So he asked me if I could take her for a few days and also let her call me mom. I said I won't be playing mom with her and that I'm only keeping a relationship because of our sons. Call me heartless. Am I the asshole for sitting on a man's hand after he refused to remove it from an empty seat? I already read this on my other account, but I gotta read it on this one because, oh my goodness. I, female 30, am 8 months pregnant and take public transportation to work daily. I'm exhausted because I work extra time to be able to afford basic necessities. I take the bus to work every day and oftentimes it's packed, but I get lucky enough when decent folks volunteer their seats for me. Wednesday I get on the bus like usual, but this time there's only one empty seat. A guy in business attire is sitting there with his hand on the empty seat and I say, "Excuse me." He tells me the seat was taken and I ask by who and he says his hand.